the founding partner of Golden Gate Ventures, Singapore. And Mr. Jeannie Su, the co-founder of Startups Hong Kong. And Ms. Pham Le Nguyen, the founder of Five Desire. Mr. Yi Jian Zhan, the partner of AppWorks. Mr. Alvin Wong, the partner of TMI Labs. And Mr. Volker Heistermann, Managing Director of Yushan Ventures Capital. And finally, Mr. Shiming Wang, the Deputy CEO of Executive Operations Center for Industry Academia Corporation of Zhongyuan Christian University. Thank you, Chair. The panelists, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Johnson Sher. I'm Vice President of E3. I used to dealing with all the commercialization process for E3 for around 5 years. And we are all friends. In fact, we are almost partners, so it's highly appreciated you can join us. But we try to back up to the focus of the topics we try to focus this afternoon is how to stimulate the entrepreneurship. Because everything from the start, this is a source of all the process begin. Let me try to give you a story, maybe to starting with this panel. Around 5 years ago, I don't know, most of you know about Kai-Fu Lee. He's a chairman of the Innovation Works. In fact, 5 years ago, he's also Taiwanese and also my old boss. Around 5 years ago, he founded this company, and he said he's an incubator, but he's much more running the accelerator models. And at that time, we are the initial investor for this company because we think and we believe their vision. After the board, around 2 years, he tried to spin off a little bit from the original office from Beijing toward to another location. At that time, since I'm sitting on the board, I try to using my nationalism because Kai-Fu Lee is born in Taiwan. I say, well, since you're running so successfully, why you don't set up a branch or another location in Taiwan? I try to use all my best to convince him, since he's my old boss and also a Taiwanese, but he said no. Well, this is very surprising. Finally his decision is to set up his second branch in Shenzhen rather than Taipei. And I keep on asking why. He told me that, well, this is quite a good shock for me. He told me that once you're running the acceleration business, there's something you have to be very careful is how you really deal with the entrepreneurship. Because entrepreneurship is kind of momentum or culture, which is really very hard. You can dig out, from the very start. And he do a survey. He showed me a survey list. In fact, he surveyed several countries. He said during that time in China, the 80% about the graduates, the first wish list in his chart is to run his own business. And 20% wants to join corporate. And he actually showed me the rest of the country. In fact, Taiwan is one of the list. It's totally on the contrary. It's 80% about those students wants to join corporate rather than have his own work, have his own company or wants to run startup. He said, if you want me to really run the accelerator, if without the resources, without the source for entrepreneur, how should I start my business? Wow. And then I think, that's why, I'm starting to work with the government and also with lots of, the company here, is trying to see how really actually the basic fundamental from the entrepreneur, how is our responsibility to getting those entrepreneurship start in our process. So this afternoon, I won't speak too much. I will really, to let those people, because they went through with their painful experience also, so let those people really share to all of you how they really experience to have those innovation. So are we really running the acceleration for innovation, or are we really hunting for entrepreneurship and so on? So because those people are coming from different countries, so first I will want to welcome Charlie. She's from Singapore, and all the time we do the survey analysis for different Asian countries who are running the quite best, who are running the most innovation works. I think Singapore is one of the model which we want to learn more. So Charlie, it's your call now.
Hello. Hi everyone. Thank you, Johnson, for the introduction. My name is Charlie from GFDI. Really privileged to be here because I believe that in this new era, it's all about sharing our experiences together. And what Johnson said just now regarding culture really resonates a lot with GFDI, mainly because we believe in founders first and foremost of all, because we believe that entrepreneurship shouldn't be a lonely journey. And that is the reason why we set up an accelerator, so that the founders can learn from each other in a single batch together. So maybe in terms of, maybe I can share with everybody the story of how we first started GFDI in Singapore. That can maybe give you a pretty good idea of how we tested out the model, because we need various pieces to fit together before we can have the accelerator model working in Singapore. So back in 2011, when we started, the concept of accelerator in Singapore and also in the region is very, very new. The entrepreneurs doesn't know what an accelerator is, and they don't know what value does it bring to them versus an incubator, which is pretty quite known concept at that point. So we had to do a lot of, say, for example, education on the ground. So when we talk to entrepreneurs, we have to tell them that this is what we hope that we can do for you by having all of you learn in a cohort together. And also, so when we had to do all those education, and that was when we started to test whether we are able to recruit entrepreneurs into our very first pilot program. And that takes a lot of, I think, going to different cities around the Southeast Asia region. So we went to Bangkok. Primarily, we did it from the grassroots level up, which means we connect with hackers and programmers and developers on Startup Weekends events. So we ran Startup Weekend events in Bangkok, in Jakarta, in Manila, even in Gurgaon in India, and Melbourne in Australia as well. And then we realized that we are able to drum up enough interest and educate enough founders so that they know what an accelerator is. And then the next piece we need to test is, because we are based on a very mentorship-driven model, so are we able to get mentors on board? I think that is also another key piece that we need to test as well. And we had to do a lot of calls. So we call up ex-entrepreneurs, former entrepreneurs, and we tell them what we want to do. Would you be willing to come back and help the community? And many of them said yes. So we know, okay, that piece worked. And afterwards, we also need to test, are we able to accelerate the companies throughout the 100 days? And that is only testable if we go ahead and do the program, which we did. And after the 100 days, we invited the investors to demo day. And that was when we are really encouraged by what the investors told us. They think that the entrepreneurs are very well prepared. And even for those who may not have managed to accelerate their businesses, as compared to other startups in their own group, they think it's okay as well. And more than 60% of them have went on to raise follow-on funding. So we are really encouraged by the results of that. So just to give you a sense of how we went and do this.
Thank you, Charlie. Well,
Thank you.
this raised more questions, you know. However, I think lots of people sitting here, you're still actually seeing that people are debating between incubator, accelerator, ventures, and also corporate ventures, and so on. So when will be the exit? Because last week we reviewed several teams, and we said we are accelerator, so they are very happy, and we give them the first bunch of money. And very funny question raised. They said, how about after acceleration? So when you set the period of the acceleration, how about the second acceleration? Means, so when you will give me up, you know, exit. So when will be the exit point you're setting up? So how about afterward? So lots of questions can be raised, but I'll leave this question to our second panelist, because since he have already hosting around 60 companies, 60 entrepreneurs from his environment, and maybe he can give me some of your experience about those people. Okay, how you measure your success after their exit?
Okay, so I tend to be very blunt, so bear with me. So my name is Jeffrey. I run two things, so there might be a bit of confusion, but it's pretty interesting. So I run a seed fund based in Singapore, investing in Southeast Asia. That was what we started off 2 years ago, and then we sort of adopted Hong Kong and Taiwan, because as we got to know the market a bit better, the entrepreneurs tend not to be very pro mainland China, and then they're a little bit lost because they think the market is small, and then they always want to come to Singapore. So I was like, okay, then don't come, let me go to you, right? So that's how we started investing in Taiwan. I think we have, so on record, we have 2.5 companies here. Sort of, one is a transplant from Malaysia that moved to Taipei. One is Taipei based, but then they moved to the Valley. And then one is US based with a developer in Taipei. So that's kind of like a bit weird. So that was the fund. So we invest in seed stage, so we invest anywhere from 30 to 300,000. So we are customers of accelerators like JFDI. So since we're in Singapore, I mentor them. I mentor China Accelerator in Shenzhen and Dalian, now in Shanghai, as well as Accelerator, Startup Chile, etc., etc. So I'm speaking on both sides, which is interesting. Now, Golden Gate is a customer of accelerators. I would assume if any one of you are in my market, I'll be talking to you. The other thing I do is I started something called the Founder Institute in Singapore. So FI, in short, the Founder Institute is a 4 months long idea stage incubator. Okay, that was the old name, so we wanted not to use incubator and accelerator anymore. I call it the Fight Club, right, where I punch you every week. I'll explain what FI does. FI brings in people who want to start companies, but they haven't really started companies. So they have one idea in their head, they have 10 ideas in their head, they have no idea in their head. They typically have full-time jobs, or they left and started a consulting firm, or they're a developer doing freelance, and then they have some product idea in their head. So what we do is we send them an online aptitude test that they have to take. It's a 1 hour test. And by the way, we do have a way to track whether you are a good entrepreneur or not. So if the governments, whoever in the government here, I think you will be interested, who want to test whether someone is a good entrepreneur, you can come to me later. So we are the only organization in the world that is able to tell you that 80% of a good entrepreneur can be taught, 20% you are born with. That's the reason why globally there's less than 2% that are entrepreneurs. And if everybody's an entrepreneur, nobody's going to work for you, correct? So FI basically sort of push people from crappy idea, usually, to something that is worthwhile pursuing, worthwhile spending money on, and worthwhile quitting your job to do. So then they again become our customers, right? So we send people to accelerators, right? I think in the past we've sent at least three teams. I've invested in one that came out from there. So I graduated one, they went to GFDI, and then I invest again. Then a bunch of them went to the US, 500 startups, China Accelerator, Accelerator, especially the hardware guys. So from my point of view, there's two parts. We have trained over 90 founders in Singapore. About 60 companies were started, about 40 have been fined, 20 plus have raised money. We have one exit that was acquired by a US company. And then I've helped start FI in the region, Southeast Asia, including Australia, and I think so far it's Hong Kong. I'm helping them with something. So that's my context, right? And then there's a few other contexts. One is there's a difference between incubator and accelerator. This one I think you guys know, right? Right? Okay. So accelerator is they push you, there's milestones, and if you don't have escape velocity, then you have to either restart or do something else, or just shut down, right? Whereas incubator, sometimes it takes a while. So it depends on what vertical you are. But there is a big difference between incubator and accelerator. The second context is there's a difference between SME and high growth startups. You understand what I mean? So a restaurant and a software that can be global from day one is a very different type of business. SME is what we call small medium enterprises, and then high growth startups is something, I don't know who termed it, it's called something called the innovation driven enterprises. So it's extremely high growth. The acceleration curve is very high. Now, from what I've known and what I've met with all the governments I've ever seen, everyone is trying to put more resources in the IDE instead of the SME, right? Including Singapore. So that's the other context. So you have to understand the difference between those two. And where we play, I think where we play is probably the IDE, not the SME. We don't accelerate restaurants, I think. Right? Yeah. And having said all that, everything to do with startups and founders are very tricky. So the first thing is you need the ecosystem. So you need people, talent, you need universities, you need demand, you need local demand, which means you need governments buying from startups. Most governments don't. We need SMEs to understand what in the world software is, what in the world software as a service is. Most of them don't. So that's a very interesting part, because if you don't have local demand to buy your stuff, you have to leave your country to do business development, which is harder. Legal and regulations, you need to have all the legal and regulatory framework that you can start companies easy, close them easy. If you go bankrupt, it's easy for you. I think Japan and Korea might be a little bit hard for them. But that's how it is. I think the ease of starting companies, the ease of failing, the ease of restarting again, that's important. Because when that is a burden, very few people will start companies. Obviously capital, so a lot of us are here from capital, so you need capital from all ranges, from angels who don't know what they're doing to accelerators who sort of know what they're doing to everybody else. Media, I think the media needs to play a role. I think there's some media here. Celebrating startup heroes is good. You need to celebrate that a lot. And don't celebrate people who have been there, done that for the last 5-10 years. You got to celebrate the recent people, right? And you don't have to wait for them to be very big. Just celebrate those guys who just race around, who has moved to the valley, who has done something. And lastly, I think it's the mentor pool, right? So I think every city, every country needs a good pool of mentors to keep pushing. Other than that, what I found that was a little bit interesting in this region, at least because I count Taiwan as my region, is majority of the ideas I see are very local, right? And that's okay. You just have to understand that you are local. That's as simple as that. So to think out of the box and want to go global is extremely hard to do from day one. So that's why the ecosystem is important to push you to think bigger, right? So if anything, for everybody here, if you're running Accelerator, you have to find someone in the Accelerator that is crazy, right? That says, why are you here? 100 million is nothing, right? A billion is something, right? Yeah, that's what Sean Parker did say before. Why are you here? And why are you here? And why are you here? Right? That's very, very rare. I've never heard of founders thinking, I'm putting my company ahead of me. I don't care where I'm comfortable in. This company should survive in the US, and I have to move, even though I can't speak any English. I have to move. I don't care, because this company is better if it's in the US. Hardly ever hear that, right? It's always, oh, I'm comfortable here, I know how to execute here, I can have customers who are friends and high school buddies, they can give me business, so let me start a company here. That's mostly what I hear. So if I anything, just challenge you guys to think bigger.
Wow, good, Jeffrey. But Jeffrey, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Why those entrepreneurs wants to come to you?
I don't know. Maybe I'm equally crazy. First, I don't know. Yes. I think it's a chemistry thing, right? I think at early stages, I think accelerators will understand this. At early stages, it's about the people. So my number one criteria is the no asshole rule, right? If you're an ass, you're out of my office, and I don't care, right? If you raise a bunch of money, I still don't care, because my life is too short to work with assholes. So that's my first thing, right? And when I cut that off, most of them are sort of like, like my kind of thing. For example, I rarely invest in MBAs. If I look back from my, we have 18 companies that we invested in, very few MBAs. I invest in scrappy technical people because they wear slippers like me, right? I'm probably the only VC that wears slippers to anywhere and still codes, right? I still code, right? Very few VCs in Singapore code. And we run hackathons. We sleep on the floor just like they do for like the 3 days, right? That's the, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's cultural fit because we are like dirty and stinky, I don't know, or scrappy. But so I understand, because we're all founders before, so we understand scrappiness, we understand bootstrapping, we understand getting things done for no money. We understand getting shut down by people and saying no, and we understand all that, right? So maybe that's why. I don't know.
Well, this is a good rationale, because we try to analyze that. Since the accelerator getting more popular in the market, then how those accelerator will proposition themselves? What is their credit? I believe, Jeffrey, you demonstrate quite a good credibility as your sign, to attract those entrepreneurship. This is just like the Kai-Fu, based on his, the first day when Kai-Fu, the open doors, how much people rushing into his office? More than 5,000 entrepreneurs. They're almost even using the stone, to crush his window. So this is maybe certain kind of things which beyond our process rather than the credibility. Okay. But another interesting topic now is talk about the Greater China or Big China concept through Jen Song. Is because of now lots of people talking about the where the stepstone to China market. You found Hong Kong is a very interesting place which gather lots of expertise and also financial backgrounds people to helping those people to getting regulatory protection and so on, give them the guidance. So I was asking, Jinsu, you can give me more idea about how you operate in Hong Kong in order to facilitating those ideas.
Hi everyone, I'm Gene Su, the co-founder of Startups HK. We are a tech startup community in Hong Kong that was set up in 2009. So actually we don't specialize in taking startups into China, or we don't specialize in China at all, in fact. So one of the things actually we always mention is if you want to go into China and start up there. Don't do it from Hong Kong. Hong Kong is not the place to do it. And a lot of people think about Hong Kong is the gateway into China, but we think of it as the gateway to get China out to the world. And I think that is like a good way to think of Hong Kong as a place. So let me give you a little story about how actually Startups HK came to be. We are a group of entrepreneurs. Actually, back in 2009, some of us attended this venture forum that was held in Cyberport in Hong Kong. And one of the keynote speakers was Dave McClure of 500 Startups. And an audience in the crowd asked him, "Hey, Dave, how do I create a startup ecosystem like in a city like Hong Kong?" So Dave said, "It's simple. Just get a bunch of entrepreneurs, sit in a coffee shop, and start talking to each other." And that's exactly what we did. So a bunch of us, like I think about 4 or 5 of us, just sat together in startups in actually a coffee shop called Happy 2 in Hong Kong. We started talking about starting up our businesses. Each of us had our own startups. So entrepreneurs usually have a very lonely path, and you always want to try to connect with others and help each other solve problems. And our group just grew very quickly from like 6 to 12 to 20, and then we were filling up the whole coffee shop. And a couple months later, we decided, hey, maybe we could do a conference and educate people and find other people like us. So we decided to set up this conference called Startup Saturday in 2010. It took us 2 months, 6 founders, to set this whole event up. And on that day, 500 people turned up on a Saturday and sat there from 9 until 6. The event was completely free, thanks to sponsors like Cyberport and also Microsoft and Yahoo. All the lunch and dinner was paid for. We had like 3 panels, 18 startups showcase themselves, and it was great. I mean, it really built up the community. So, I mean, that really set the stone on like getting things going, I think, in Hong Kong for the tech startup ecosystem. So after that, one of our co-founders set up Hong Kong's first co-work space called Boot HK, and we started to do more regular events there, like talks by like visiting entrepreneurs or marketing people, and then we would hold pitch nights. In fact, we call it pitch club, not fight club. So, and the rule is to always talk about it and share it with others. And after that, we started to set up startupshk.com, which is like techcrunch.com, and we actually tell people about like startups in Hong Kong and things that are happening in the startup space out there. And most recently, we launched startbase.hk, which is a database of startups in Hong Kong and also companies that are in our startup ecosystem. And this is officially linked to the Crunchbase database. So we signed an agreement with Crunchbase, and so Crunchbase could actually suck data out of Startbase to populate their database out in the valley. And I have to also thank our sponsor, like Cyberport, like really helped us in getting Startbase and together. So, actually back to your initial question about entrepreneurship and innovation. So I do have something to say about that, is that innovation right now actually is driving entrepreneurship, which is why we see like a huge amount of interest in entrepreneurship across the globe, including Hong Kong. It's because new technologies these days, the lower cost of setting up new businesses and using technology to disrupt existing businesses have encouraged a lot of people to step out of their comfort zone and try things out. So, essentially, I think innovation is driving entrepreneurship, which essentially would drive innovation because of new business models and solutions that get created by these new generation of entrepreneurs. So I think we have a very bright future ahead of us, and I'm really excited to be part of this forum.
Well, really, Gene, you're very generous. In fact, if you really take a look about, just not from his speech, also from his observation about his attitude, you can see actually those people which can have, to build those accelerator, they really build a certain kind of passion. You can see those people, they have fire in their eyes, really wants to, eager for something, right? So this is the spirit. Thank you very much. And Fan, I know lots of people now investing in Vietnam and try to know about what is environment or facilitation can have to embrace, those new innovations and the future growth there.
Yeah, so a lot of people talk about Vietnam right now, especially there's the very special bird flying in iPhone and shutting down. About Vietnam, the first time internet appears about more than 15 years ago. And the first wave of innovation of startup is about 10 years ago when IDG Venture came into Vietnam and make some investment. And the second wave is considered to be about 5 years ago when a lot of accelerator and incubator were started to support startup. And there are a lot of activity to help people connect to each other and make startup more confident about what they should do. And of course, they always a dream to start a business. However, startup a lot of knowledge and experience. So they still need the support from people who have experience to give them some mentoring, some advisory to do in the good way. For example, startup market knowledge. Some startup just started as the technical people. They are very good at doing their product. They build something that they think that can fit to the market, but then they have no idea about how the user will use it. So the market understanding is very important to make startup know about what the real consumer think. So that's the one thing. And also the business model applied to the product that make the business profitable is also not many technical people can think of. The second thing is startup connection. Sometimes they want to cooperate with people, but then they don't know where and how to ask for people to join the team or to find mentor. So that's why some accelerator or some connector have to help them to find a very good business partner, or even help them to work with media so that they can promote their product. The third things is that some product in other sides, they have business mind and they have the plan to do their business, but then they're not very good at technical. So they need technical support so that they can do the product. And sometimes the technical is not good enough, so that they need the consultants to make them to help them to know how to scale up the business. Because building a product with 100 people, for example, it's totally different from building for 1 million people. And they need the consultant and support and mentor from business scaling and strategy. And of course, funding is also one thing that startup looking for. And a lot of accelerator and business support in Vietnam do that job. And also many people in Vietnam right now talking about do global product. And this is a trend, but then it's not very easy because startup in Vietnam exposure to the world. So that the reason why We, with like 5 Desire, try to bring a lot of like expert from outside the country into Vietnam. We build a network around the world so that if startup want to expand into other market, we have partner out there. And in our team, there are 3 other person in Silicon Valley, so they understand about like the major market. They know about like which business model is successful out there and can apply into like other market. So we bring a lot of expertise, bring a lot of knowledge, and to invest into startup. That's the thing.
It is really appreciated to see, you know, even in Vietnam, they are so much encouraging about the new startup, and also welcome for the investment, and also chain up to the global market, on global. This is really a good sign, you know. Suppose the connection of all of these people together is try to facilitate, to ensure, you know, we can went through with, you know, the positive value chain, you know, through you. Well, I see. So Jeremy didn't come actually. You coming here? 5 years ago, we met AppWorks. In fact, we want to invest them, but been rejected by them. We believe those guys are so smart, you know, to creating this kind of what they call. They are using fire to burning fires, you know. They're grouping the people using the totally different type of styles. So the first day when we dressing like this to joining his office, we found we're like an alien, you know, truly like an alien, because those people are so casual, and most of the people they're working, you know 30 to 40 people working just on a small table and discussing about different things. It's really amazing. So after 5 years, they are really very successful. Suppose he should be the first accelerator in Taiwan. Maybe you can share more experience to us about how you success there.
Thank you, Johnson. Okay, hi, I'm IC, and I'm the co-founder and the partners of AppWorks. AppWorks was founded in 2010, so actually it's about 4 years ago. During these times, we have incubated more than 150 teams, startup teams, and it's about 400 entrepreneurs in our network, and create about 800 jobs in our society. And we invest 20 portfolio internet and mobile company with our VC fund, which was 10 million US dollar. So we are not a big company, and we are also a startup company. So how do we treat these entrepreneurs or founders, and how do we pick up those teams? Most of Taiwanese VCs or maybe government usually ask us, how do you pick up those successful entrepreneurs or teams? You pick up startup teams, the guys, the people, or the business idea, or the business model. Our belief is the team, okay, because good teams can change their business model, but business model will be destroyed by bad teams. So the key we pick up those things are we see if they do have some specialty or good personality. The first will be the determination. How can you see staffs or founders' determination? We'll ask them how long will you prepare? If you don't succeed, you will go back to your company or find another job. We don't ask how much money they prepare. We ask how long, because for most of the startups, usually you will not survive or have your revenue in the beginning, in the first 2 or 3 years. So you they say, I only prepare the first year or 1 year for living. We will think about you are not prepared enough. Yeah, so the first is how long you will prepare, and the second will be the insight. The insight, your mindset of the industry or the things you are going to change the world. Okay. So it's not only about the patient, or about knowledge. It's about insight. How do you learn from the industry you used to be and from the school? But the third is about the capability to build. Okay, if you ask me how do we select good investment target, in the beginning, we will say it's about traction, traction, and traction. Traction is all about if your product or your service fit to your market, which we call product market fit in the Lean Startup model. So we will see how they pivot from one business model to another, how they fit their product to the market. So traction is the most important thing in the beginning. Of course, the quality of their service or the certification from the voice of customer will be very important. So there are some other questions might raise, like, okay, you are focusing in mobile internet, but not rather than diversify to many industries. Our answer will be yes, like a startup teams. If they diversify too fast, usually they will burn out fast. The most suicide things to startup teams is prematurely scalable or premature scalability. That means you go too fast but not focused. If you go very, very fast and focused, you will get big traction in only one thing. But you go too many things, usually we will burn out very fast. Okay, so that's why at worst we are ourselves focused in only one field, that is mobile internet. And the other things, we do not invest the team first, because we believe the most important thing between the investor and entrepreneurs is the trust. The relationship will be the most difficult part, not the money. So we take 6 months for each batch in about 20 to 25 teams to observe them, and they can observe us too. So to build the trustable relationship will be the most important things during the 6 months, rather than we invest first. Of course, if they do need money or they can provide their traction to us, we will seriously consider to invest them, but usually do not happen during the 6 months. Okay. So the other question usually raised to us is, you choose global team or local teams? Okay. We will say we choose Taiwanese teams going globally. They will usually try to build a local business model and trying to hit a home run in local market. If you do not succeed in your home market, usually you will not going to anywhere else. So hometown market will be the first important things. Of course, if you are overseas Taiwanese, you should go back to try your startup in that country, rather than going back to Taiwan if you are not so familiar with Taiwanese market. Okay, and the last will be yes, how entrepreneurs find us. Because if you see the numbers, we may be the 4th largest accelerator among the world. Maybe the biggest aside the Silicon Valley is like YC and 500 startup. If we are seriously categorize the accelerators categories. Okay, so because we are a little bit high profile VC in Taiwan. I took radio shows, TV shows, and I have columns in newspapers. So most VC do not do those things. Most VC are very low key, but we try to build our brand, our opinion leaders, marketing brand to the entrepreneurs. And which make a lot of noise to let a society of internet of entrepreneurs to discuss if this is right or wrong. We make a lot of opinions. So we do things here in Taiwan, and our vision will, yes, we try to build a best founders network among the Pan Asia, especially in mobile internet and internet business. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Well, later on, he still got lots of very good agenda in his mind. But later on, you can dig them out. They do have lots of experience in this field, and also due to that, we begging actually for Kai-Fu, and also ourselves. So since we are trying to invest, AppWorks so much, and they rejected, so we co-fund, with Kai-Fu, with another company called TMI. Is another company, Elvin, and we try to say, is it possible that we can enlarge or replicate, from mobile internet area to other area? So, but however, due to the accelerator from the first day, actually they are accelerating themselves also. So we can see actually TMI is changing themselves, from year to year. So now it's a third year, right, from TMI.
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. So maybe TMI can give us some story, because lately we've seen their business model is changing dramatically from the new Silicon Valley theories. So maybe you can give us some of the insights of your thoughts, please.
Well, I think the reason why TMI is changing every year is, well, mostly because we are still learning. I mean, to be honest, I still have no idea what I'm doing right now. We try acceleration for the first 6 months. It doesn't really work because we have 4 partners and we really don't have time to mentor each and every one of the startups. I think in 3 years we invested in 20 startups. I think we are asking the wrong question because I was preparing for a different. So, but anyway, I think we are still doing investment. We are just, upping the limits of our investment from, 50K to 300K to possibly more. And then we are focusing on, wearables and hardware and related startups instead of, pure internet startups. But that's just a vertical switch, I think, back to, the funny thing is when E3 and Innovation World Lee Kai-Fu invested in TMI, I actually promised Kai-Fu that I'll bring 10 startups from Taiwan every year to China. So now we are in year 3, so I think the total number of startups that I actually brought over to China to Kai-Fu is 0. So when people talk about how startups should domestic startups should go over to the world and try to conquer the world, I think there are no perfect way or easy steps to do that. The number one hurdle that we have been trying to do is to persuade them to do that. Startups doesn't want to go to China. Last month we invested in three wearable companies in Silicon Valley. They don't want to come to Asia, but that's fine because when your domestic market is, comprises of 50K per capita GDP income with 300 million population, I think you're fine with doing domestic market. But when you're looking at Taiwan, 30 million population with 22K USD, the best Taiwanese startups for the last 5 years, when the exit is 20 mil, 30 million USD. If you are investing at 1 mil post, the return is just not good enough for VC to sustain itself over here. This is why we preach about going overseas. If you can just get 5% of the market cap in Japan or Germany, the valuation that you are seeing will be vastly different from just being number 1 in Taiwan. And I totally understand IC points about why do they need to go overseas if they haven't conquered Taiwan. It doesn't have to be a mutually exclusive thing. I mean, GGV and TMI actually invested in a startup, ActiveTV, Johnson. He doesn't speak Korean. He's doing Korean market right now. I think, I'm just strictly speaking from a VC point of view. It's impossible for TMI to raise second or third fund if we just invest in strictly domestic focused startups. I think that's probably why E3 and Decipher invested in us. So the first hurdle is to persuade startups to actually, have the ambition to go overseas, and that includes, localizing your user interface in more than one language other than traditional Chinese. There are only 2 countries in the world that do traditional Chinese, is Taiwan and Hong Kong. And I'm not asking for 20 more languages for your UI, I'm just asking for English. And a lot of startups in Taiwan, especially the 15 that we funded, I think we can pretty much all agree that in English level in Taiwan is not as proficient as, even countries in Philippines or Thailand has better English proficiency compared to Taiwan. So that's one of the hurdles that we have to get past too. And like I said, startups that we invested in US, they have every reason not to venture outside of US because the domestic market, or even in Japan or Germany, because the domestic market is big enough to make a big home run. And then you have VCs and big companies over there making regular M&As, exit events and stuff. I mean, Yahoo Taiwan or even Yahoo Japan don't really buy companies. So the only way for us to exit is, well, IPO. And I can tell you, just by one hand, how many companies, internet companies actually IPO in Taiwan for the last 5 years. It's not a lot. So if you want a vibrant community, if you want VC money to come into Taiwan, you have to present them the prospect that we are willing to go out. I think it's as simple as that. And I think TMI is fighting a losing battle here, so I'm probably not the right person to ask how to persuade startups to go to overseas. But maybe IC or Jeffrey or Pang has a better approach in doing that.
Well, I often talk about, it's an inside story about how struggling himself. And in fact, 2 things I most admire is, those teams, entrepreneurship themselves, because they are changing themselves, from year to year. Even lately, they are changing. Maybe later on, if you have time, you can chat with them, because they found, lots of the entrepreneur, even in new startups in Silicon Valley, when we talk about, it's not pure software, but it's combined with software, hardware. We talk about a whole system type of startups. And those startups normally need manufacturing capability, also reliability, and so on. But fortunately, Korea and Japan and also Taiwan, and we all together are quite strong in terms of the infrastructure from ICT, no matter from manufacturing or from system design or design perspective. So I'm quite respect about their changing their policy toward to the integration of the software innovation to a system innovation. This is a new category of the accelerator. So I said, accelerator is accelerating themselves. So this is quite typical example. So we are not hesitating to invest more about the new ideas. So I know they are raising capital. Yeah, we do. We are backing up there. Walker is from Silicon Valley, right? So you're working in Taiwan prior. So you're working very hard, and now you're Silicon Valley. Maybe you can. We try to understand. 10 years or 20 years ago, about what they call Silicon Valley spirits. Just like lots of coffees and the people's building with trust and invest each other. Maybe you can tell us a bit more, since you are funding actually in Silicon Valley perspective.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming here. It's an honor to have you actually join this public-private sector partnership in the venture world. We work together with Taiwan's SMEA to create this, and APEC and then Intel and Siemens have joined. So it's a real awesome to see everybody here. I wanted to chat a little bit with you. I co-founded Yushan Ventures 3 years ago. We invested in 18 companies in Austria, in San Francisco, and 18 total, and 6 in Taiwan. But I wanted to talk to you more about entrepreneurship and what are the criteria when you look at entrepreneurs in your incubators, in your investment efforts, or even if you hire people for an entrepreneurial position in a company. And Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, a few weeks ago at a forum actually said that everybody needs a driver that pushes us forward. And a lot of people will say, oh, I want to change the world, and I want to help all the poor people, and all that. But honestly, when it comes down to a personal level, those are not the real drivers. The real drivers are, I want freedom, or I want to be filthy rich, or I want recognition. Those are the three I put down here. And that is what entrepreneurship actually enables. I want to challenge those of you who work for other people, who work for investment funds, who work for the government, for anything. You probably have had fears of getting laid off at some point and dreamt of a better life. And then that is usually either leaving your country and living overseas on an island, or being an entrepreneur. But then again, doing it, have you done it? You probably still work in your position, unless you have gotten fired. So it's about execution, and that's what it all comes down to at the end. But what drives you to execution is the desire for wealth or recognition, or just to make some significant changes. And those are the elements that you want to look for in entrepreneurs. And now comparing Taiwan, and thanks for being so candid. It's actually the early stage investment. We invested $1.5 million from our personal money. We never raised a fund. And most of these investments are already finished, right? They have shut down. The early stage investment, like 95% failure rate. It's a real tough business to be in. But I've spent a lot of my time on building ecosystems the last couple of years. And one here in Taiwan, together with AppWorks and with TMI and the government. We have David Gu is in the room. We have built Startup Weekend and done it 10 times all over the island. And I can tell you, that's actually when you would like to know how you get things going in your local economy. It's providing platforms where like-minded people can go, and where actually you can come out as that entrepreneur. You may work in a very boring position, and you didn't know that you have actually these entrepreneurial genes in your body. Like myself, I grew up in Germany. My parents pushed me to study law, and then I went to the United States, and I worked for Google, I worked for AT&T. I had like this corporate career. And one day I just had it, and I traveled around the world for a year, and then I ended up here in Taiwan. And Taiwan actually inspired me to become entrepreneurial. And even there have been setbacks, but I can't go back to working for another position. So you're not born as an entrepreneur. You just have to be stimulated and be in the right environment, and you have to have the desire for freedom. You have to have passion and motivation, and some of the risk averseness you have to let go of. It's different to work for the government than to be an entrepreneur. Now, there are big differences in ecosystems, and I like to speak of 3 tiers of ecosystems when I talk about startups. And by the way, everybody here, the word startup is way overused for the last 2-3 years, and so entrepreneurship. It's like after the financial crisis in 2008, 2009, and all the other recessions we have been through, it's just like the catchy term for really anybody within corporations, governments, to use to get voters or to get promotion in a corporation. Innovation, just falls along the same lines. So the ecosystems that are there is Silicon Valley, Israel, and maybe China. These are all big markets, or very small markets with people that think big from day one. An Israeli entrepreneur will actually have that drive that TMI is looking for, not to stay in Israel from the day the company is founded. A Taiwan entrepreneur, on the other hand, has it very easy. It's very comfortable. You live at home till you're 40 if you have to. You actually eat food for $2 a meal. So there's no real competitive threat. There's not enough of an environment that provides a competitive threat and drives people forward. So what I find when I visit tier 2 and tier 3 ecosystems, that the people that really, and again, I'm not talking about an entrepreneur who wants to create a lifestyle business. I'm talking about venture-backed companies. You have to differentiate, right? But startup can be anything. A bakery is a startup, and then the next WhatsApp, which is valued at say 18, 19 billion dollars. So if you're in Silicon Valley, America is made of immigrants. I'm one of them who's lived there for 18 years. I'm a German US citizen. But the people that are there are very like-minded. And I don't fit into Germany. And the Taiwanese entrepreneurs that are in Silicon Valley, they don't really fit into Taiwan. So Silicon Valley as the tier 1 ecosystem is a place that is very special. And good luck copying it. It's just not going to happen. It's grown over 50 years. But the good news is you don't have to constantly crank out $20 billion companies. Like Taiwan as a market has a huge potential. That's what TMI Lab has pivoted to and changed, and that's hardware. And utilizing the knowledge of the supply chain, the manufacturing capabilities, and nurturing local talent. So in your local markets, you actually want to look, what do those local entrepreneurs are investing in actually have that can support the ecosystem that we have in our environment, in our market?
Thank you very much. In fact, you are talking really hit the heart. Just like 2 weeks ago, we interviewed one of the team. They got tremendous good innovations, and we're starting to asking them because we want to invest them. And those teams, we said, since we want to take the risk, so how about you put some of your personal money to invest this company altogether. So let's try to make the case. And one of the leader even talked in this way. He said, I don't care about my personal risk, but question is, my wife maybe will lay me off, So there's a lot of what we call the comfort zone. We need to challenge and really take a look about, the team itself, rather than, we've seen lots of entrepreneurship. Really, they're spending even, they are hiding in behind their wife, his wife, sorry, and to mortgage his house to invest his own company. But after he fails, well, so what? So maybe what I talk about entrepreneurship is in the family together, taking the risk. Just like I first joined one of the very strange company, and when they degrade my salary to 1/10 about my original job, who signed the offering letter? My wife. It's not me. He told, he just hide me, and during the night he signed the letter and faxed to the company, say I want to join. He take the risk on behalf of me. That's good. So anyway, welcome. And then Dr. Wang. Dr. Wang is one of our original member when we try to challenge the incubation system, how to migrate to the acceleration, because we found there's a lot of new chance. Suppose Taiwan should embrace toward to the future. We have such a good, the research and development results, no matter within the university and the research center, but they normally can't get it out, and we try to using certain program to really let them to out of the comfort zone, and let them really to push to the what we call the Born Global concept. So he's the one to say Born Global in the first beginning. So Dr. Wang.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon. My name is Michael. I'm from Zhongyuan Christian University. I'm currently running one incubator and also Accelerator. Studying way back 40 years ago, we had the incubator. All right. By that time, we have only 2 staffs, okay, including me, right? And then, but unfortunately, Taiwan is really small. If you look at the map, we're just a small banana, right? And within this banana, we have 130 incubators now. It's very competitive. Even competitive, more competitive than one stop. Right? So we are not quite satisfied with the basic elements or functions of the incubators. We always thinking about if we have any innovative functions which can really help the startups to put more value added to our tenants. We are a non-profit organization, but we need the profit to expand our functions, our services, no matter domestically or internationally. So When I started in charging the incubator, we were always thinking about what our customer needs. So most of our tenants need the opportunities for marketing, for resources, even for partners. Most of their business need to have the global market, but for our university affiliated incubator, what can we do? So starting from 8 years ago, based on one of our customers' need, we thinking about create more international cooperation. So we had the first co-incubator in Vietnam, Hanoi. And later on, we have the second co-incubator in Ho Chi Minh City, and then Jakarta, Indonesia, Malaysia, mainland China, and now Mongolia, Republic of Mongolia. Probably you will think about why we need so many partners or co-incubators in different countries. Opportunities. We try to not only minimize the obstacles, but also maximize the opportunities. As I mentioned about opportunities for marketing, or even for the natural resources. This is what very difficult situation most of the startups, even regular enterprises in Taiwan, they are facing. Okay, we're short of the natural resources. So when one company came to us asking for the business incubation for the biomass, we told them we were not ready yet, because in Taiwan we don't have the raw material. We didn't have enough farmers for growing all these raw materials. So we started thinking about why don't we go to Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Indonesia. So we're looking for the opportunity to cooperate with the Farmer Association in Indonesia. After we built up that co-incubators, then we took our tenants to there to cooperate with all the farmers. Okay, we took another customer to Cambodia recently for growing the trees and produce the biomass. We even help all our tenants in Southeast Asia region to form the value chain, because they could have more value based on these corporations. So this is what we think about. We review all the possible opportunities for business opportunities for our customers. So this is why we went to Republic of Mongolia 3 years ago. It was really cold place, believe me. But they do have a lot of resources, mining resources, and they need the new technology to enrich their industry. So this is a very good opportunity for Taiwanese company to go there, to set up the cooperation relationship with the local agents or partners, even get some resources from based on the local government's policies. So this is what we are doing. The only thing we want to do is that create more value added to our customers. Then we can receive the reasonable feedback so that we can continuously expand our services. As I mentioned that we have, in Taiwan, we have 131 incubators. That's very competitive. But fortunately, now we have only 3 accelerators. So that is not that competitive. But 2 years ago, I think our government launched that accelerator policies. This also very help us to creating more opportunity to cooperate with more partners like ventures, like even large enterprises. We invite the senior management to be not only the mentor, but also the investors and also the provider of the marketing channels for our tenants. This is how we leverage the government resources for incubation or acceleration, whatever. But we do want to provide the different service at the different stages for our customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wang. I think we control the time quite well. Now is the time. I think suppose the original purpose is try to speak less, let all the people speak less. But this is a time because since Accelerator, we do need connection and trust. So now is a time we don't say it's a Q&A rather than this kind of a dig out session. So we allow all the people, if they have I believe they have lots of experience in behind. So this is really the good time. If you want to get some of the, the good practice or experience, try to raise your hand. Any people wants to raise the first hand? Please.
I believe this session is especially for the entrepreneurship, how to stimulate the entrepreneurship in Taiwan. There was a wave, I think maybe like 10 or 15 years ago, during the semiconductor booming in Taiwan. There's so many people become entrepreneurs, they start up. But nowadays, not so many people want to start a business because of many reasons, maybe risk. I just wonder, is anything our society or government can do to kind of accommodate or help the people who want to be entrepreneur to try to work on their project and maybe one day they will be succeed and in the global market. Is anything we can do because we have so many technology, we have so many possibilities. Yeah, especially I want to. Since there are so many people from different countries, maybe can give us different views. Thank you.
It's an awesome question, and I want to say Taiwan actually at this point has everything, almost everything that's needed to bring it to the next level. Events, money, great universities, highly trained workforce, all the ingredients. But what's lacking, and again, talking about venture-backed startups, what's lacking at the moment is exit experience. It's like a leader who can take the masses that join and move it to the next level. And that's what Silicon Valley and a lot of other ecosystems have an advantage over tier 2 markets like Vietnam or even Germany or so. And that's people like, we call it in Silicon Valley the PayPal mafia. Anybody heard that before? They're spreading out around the world, and they're usually the ones that start new companies. But you join them, and then the people that quit Google, that quit Facebook, and they have a certain DNA, they have a certain knowledge base that actually separates them from the person that works at McDonald's or, it's just like that hunger and drive. And I know some of these people are still in Taiwan, they haven't all run away. But they may not even know that they have that talent because they didn't work for PayPal or so on. Or if they did, then they did stay in the US. So we need people to come back. We need people that have worked for startups that made it big and were there early on. And that was just going to take time. How far have we gotten here in Taiwan? In only 3 years I have been here, or 3.5 years. It's just so fascinating. Just yesterday, the tour we took to the university, David and I, we banged our head against the wall to actually do a startup weekend, which is a non-profit event, and that university charged us for the venue, which is almost unheard of for startup weekends around the world when we did the first one. And now that university has an incubation center and an awesome co-work space that just could look like a Twitter office in San Francisco. And that's only in 3 years. It's just really awesome. And so things are changing, and Silicon Valley has been around for 50 years, and this has just been growing in markets in Asia and in Southern Europe and so on for 3, 4, 5 years. So give us some more time, and it's just all going to come together.
Thank you, Boca. I see.
I believe your question is about how the government or the industrials can do. I would say it's about, first I agree with Volker. Yeah. The more young people or young students going to startup company or even global company, they will learn from those company and the cultures. So I believe the internship program will be very important. It's not very well developed or very used to be in our company or local companies. But internship or the working experience will help the founders very well. Actually, in AWS, we do not enroll student teams right now. We believe founders from companies and with their 3 to 5 years working experience will be the best beginning to start a company. So usually they are 30 to 35 years old. Okay, so they take risk, but they know what they do very, very well, rather than the student or the freshman of society. The other one will be to change some regulation of maybe like internet companies, especially like e-commerce or the asset regulations, means merger and acquisition or the IPOs regulations. The faster you can put your money back of VCs, there are more and more money can be reinvested. So fast asset will be, of course, that's not only the only way, but I think the asset of investment opportunity will still be a good challenge here in Taiwan. So that will be my 2 cents.
Since I am not representing the government, can't say anything, right? So we reserve the question later on. Then, Phong?
Vietnam have like maybe like go after Taiwan in the development of technology, and also like about like how the government support to startup. But right now in my country, there's a lot of program that government really want to support entrepreneurship, support innovation. For example, like recently, there's the fund from World Bank to the Ministry of Science and Technology, which is about like 100 million US to foster the innovation in technology and innovation in my country. So I think that like the first thing government can do is that they open the opportunity for a lot of startups that can like apply for that kind of fund, and sometimes like the information that about the fund that belong to the government is not public enough. So the transparency is very important, which make startup accessible to what the government want to support. And also I think that government can support in the way of like the regulation and law system, which is encourage startup to like be more confident to start the business, and they don't have the thinking of like they are annoyed by a lot of regulation. The third thing I think that like only government can do, but not any accelerator can help, is about like the education system, because like all the innovation have to start from like education. If the government can provide the good education system to people in general, so it's the seed of like entrepreneurship or leadership right in the university or college, so that people can like well equip themselves with knowledge before they can think of like follow their dream. So that the fourth thing that I think that government can support startup ecosystem.
Thank you, Phong. Jeffrey.
Okay, I have a lot to say. So. No. I think the first step is to start with building out the ecosystem. So, but you have to understand this takes time, right? So, if you ask Silicon Valley, anyone in Silicon Valley, they will tell you, please, no government, right? The reason is they took 50 years to get to where they are, where there's inertia. They don't really need the government anymore. But if you want to force, a new sort of city or country to get to a certain stage, my feeling, this is a Singaporean talking, okay? So bear with me. My feeling is you need both government and private to work together, but the person that drives it cannot be a government guy. Okay? So in Singapore, governments are all in for innovation, all in for startups, all in for knowledge economy, because we have no resources, right? And we have no people, like literally 5 million people. So they have no choice. Hence the money is there, all the incentives are there, but governments being governments, good intention, execution a little bit off, right? Yeah. So then the private sector got to like, no, you're going the wrong way, come back here. So you need somebody to have the force to pull them, right? Or else they go off track. So the first thing is just piece out all the ecosystem components, which I think I mentioned a little bit about, and then just tackle that. It will take at least 2 to 5 years. So don't think it'll just come like in a year. It's going to take a while. So recently, with a team of us went to MIT for a course there to sort of like how do we accelerate startup ecosystems. So the number one problem of all the ecosystem stuff is culture, right? Why would people want to start companies? That's the first problem, especially in Asia. Okay, Singapore is there, right? I think the Korean team was there too. The Ministry of Finance was trying to figure out, should they put more money in Korea? Or should they not put more money, because it seems to be a lot of money, I don't know. So I'm like, put more money, it's good, put more money. But government is like kind of like not sure what they want to do. So as long as you fix all the ecosystem issues, like people, talent, the universities are good, but like in Singapore, good universities, but computer science is not, even engineering is not their first choice. And within engineering, computer science is not even their first choice, right? And then when you ask them why, they say, it's very boring. Then I'm like, who have you heard it from? Okay, Singapore is there, right? I think the Korean team was there too. The Ministry of Finance was trying to figure out, should they put more money in Korea? Or should they not put more money, because it seems to be a lot of money, I don't know. So I'm like, put more money, it's good, put more money. But the government is like kind of like not sure what they want to do. So as long as you fix all the ecosystem issues, like people, talent, the universities are good, but like in Singapore, good universities, but computer science is not, even engineering is not their first choice. And within engineering, computer science is not even their first choice, right? And then when you ask them why, it says, it's very boring. Then I'm like, who have you heard it from? Or all the IT guys from the banks told me it's very boring. And I'm like, do you know what we do? Like, nobody knows what startups do, right? So from young, you have to already instill that culture, try to change certain things. And then the only thing government sort of should put a bit more role, right, is legal regulations and policies. Just make sure that it's smooth, right? Whoever wants to start something and change the world, let them do it. Don't stand in their way. That's the first thing the government should take note of. And again, it might take years, right? So depending on which country you come from. And the education system, that one is the trickiest part, because that will take 10, 15 years, right, to change. Then having said all that, Silicon Valley is a small place in the whole of the US. Have you ever been to the other parts of the US? So you will understand. Like in Singapore, the financial district, right, is where everything goes. So if you compare that to Soma, right? So in San Francisco, south of Market is like the core of the Bay Area. If you throw a stone, in Singapore's CBD, you hit a banker. or an advertising guy, either one, right? In Soma, you hit a startup guy, right? And when you ask him, where did you work before? Another startup. Before that, another startup. Before that, I was in school. Okay? So that's you have to understand, it's a very different place. So to get there, it takes a long time. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I...
Really appreciate it.
Let me add on.
Please.
So I think, like, given that Jeff and I are both from Singapore, he has pretty much speak about all the government stuff on my behalf as well, because I think we all know how the government works in Singapore. So I'm just interested from the perspective of the individual as a founder. What is stopping that individual from just going ahead and doing a little bit here and there? You don't have to jump in straight away. I mean, if you're not comfortable with it, but maybe, you know, part-timing might be a good idea at times. And I think working with the government is kind of a good idea because, especially I think in Southeast Asia region, given that all the countries are at different infrastructure readiness, I think for, say, internet, for e-commerce payments platforms. So I don't know if all of you are aware there is an ASEAN ICT master plan that's going to be implemented in 2015 by the countries in ASEAN to prepare the infrastructure for internet broadband access in the countries. So in that sense, government is going top down, but there's something that we can do as a founder to start working from the bottom up, and every little bit of starting point helps. So I am just saying that based on, you know, Joyful Frog Digital Incubator, we also have an unofficial name, which is just Go Frogging Do It. And just, yeah, start very little bit whenever you can.
I see people actually raise the flags in the back. So last question. Please.
Hello, I'm Hilary Lau from PwC, and thank you for giving me the very honor for the last opportunity to raise the question. Because I just heard from all the guests that you mentioned accelerator entrepreneurs, and in the morning session I heard the word social entrepreneurs. And I was wondering whether this will be part of your portfolio or your main focus in the future. Because when I was talking to my Singaporean friends, that they've got this kind of good opportunity to talk to the head of the government, and they're meeting them regularly, and they've got a lot of resources. And they've got great results that they're thinking about IPO. And I think that's a very good role model for the new startups and SMEs. And back in home here, Taiwan, because I used to do social enterprise management in Cambridge, so I've seen how Cambridge Incubator Center work closely with the leading companies to help those new startups, SMEs, to grow, even get to international markets. So my question for you, maybe one of you can come up with great, interesting case or the best practice with us, how those incubators, maybe from the universities, that they could get to IPO within certain years. Because now with our firm that we do help those startups from the university incubator centers, and from the very beginning they're talking to us that within 2 to 3 years we want to IPO, and they can make it. And with our help, for example, you're talking about how to bring those new startup or SMEs to Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong, that for the text or the IP issues, for the languages, for the local partners, they have no idea. And how can they overcome those barriers? I'm sure your help will be very important. And with the professionalism, for example, the accounting, tax, and for all those, we are happy, at least me, Hillary, will be happy to do the pro bono work to help those people, because we've seen a lot of great, not just social enterprises, for those enterprises with the goodwill business that they want to do good for Taiwan and also for the society. Thank you.
Jean?
Yeah, funny that you're from PwC because we actually got a lot of help from you guys too. In January, we actually held a crowdfunding symposium at your headquarters in Landmark in Central. And it was full house, like 150 people came. We had 5 very successful Kickstarter campaigners, actually share their experiences in raising $3.3 million on Kickstarter. And the event was amazing because it was really about the people who have managed to execute and and tell people about the pitfalls actually after raising actually a lot of money from Kickstarter and then what happens when you have to start shipping tens of thousands of 3D pens that that you just made. So I think and really encouraging entrepreneurs and the ecosystem. Many parties have to come together to make things work. And most entrepreneurs, when they come to think about building up their businesses, they would have some thinking of exits or whether they'll sell out or whether they'll IPO. But ultimately, the drive, it probably is to build a product that would really change people's lives or change something that actually gets them. I think that is usually the main drive. And I think one of the key things that Hong Kong does not have yet is a huge success case of an IPO or of acquisition that or even a product that really change the world. I mean, we have some small products here and there, and it's great to see success cases overseas, WhatsApp, Facebook, and all that. But I think Hong Kong, or I think many other countries too, it will really help to have a star in the city to have this light that people can look up to and go towards. And when you have that, I think it will really change things. And at that time, people could really drive and change their business and use other service providers to make their business succeed.
Just to add, since you mentioned Singapore, so I might as well chime in. So the entire social enterprise thing is very tricky, right? Because if you explain too much social, then the financial investors are like, I might as well put money somewhere else. So you need to spin it, right? So we invested in a startup, right? So it's based in New York. It's operating in Mexico and in Manila. It's a micro lending company online. You only need to register your Facebook to borrow money. That's it. Right? So we based on your friends, we kind of okay, you have a high chance of repaying, so I'm gonna lend you money. Okay, so if you go that way, it seems that I can empower a bunch of people to raise money and a bunch of people to borrow money, and my default rates based on my algorithms are pretty low. Right? That sounds like, hey, this could change the world. This could be quite interesting, and it is that way. When you spin it that way, it is that way. But then you look at it the other way. There is a social impact, correct? Yeah. So we invested. So the company is called Lendo, Lenddo, and there is a fund called Omedia Network. If you know what that is. Pierre Omedia is the founder of eBay. He has his own fund. He likes this kind of stuff. He likes to invest in not completely social enterprise, but startups with a social impact. So I don't know what I'm saying is helping you or not, but if there is something I can help you with, there are angel investors in Singapore that likes social enterprise. And I do know in the region there's not many funds that only do social enterprise. Hence, it's very, very difficult to get things off the ground. And usually social enterprise, the number one problem is it's not sustainable over time, right? So that's another challenge where I think some of the venture guys can come in to help. It's something called venture philanthropy, where we can come in to help and give them some tips on how to be sustainable on their own. Okay? Okay.
Good. Volker, the last one.
Yeah, no, this is not a closing remark. It's just one sentence. San Francisco every year and it's grown, has an investor conference for venture capitalists that either have set aside a fund or just purely high impact investors, social impact investors. That's in October, so you may want to look into that conference to get some names. And secondly, the Hub is a co-workspace that's around the world, as you know as well, and they have incubated social entrepreneurs.
So just want to add a little bit.
Fine.
So 5Design is actually the technology accelerator and a consulting firm, and we haven't yet do the social enterprise yet. But then a lot of investors coming to us and asking about social enterprise in Vietnam. And actually, we have a lot of discussion in our team to expand it into social enterprise. We also have some friends who is really want to do some social enterprise, and they have connection with the ministry of many people that can affect the economy, that can help to raise out the social enterprise. And also, I think that the delegate from Vietnam, that there are some people from Ministry of Planning and Investment here. They have the fund to invest into social enterprise, and we just have the discussion yesterday about that. And I think that there are a lot of opportunity, and if you really want to go into Vietnam, we can talk more about that.
Thank you, Vaughn.
Well, I mean, since everyone is advertising, I'm interested. So TMI is looking to do social commerce. We are probably, I think we are closing a deal on digital wallet. So that's sort of social enterprise, I guess. So I don't know. I mean, if you want to talk off stage, I'll be more than happy to hear what Cambridge or PwC has to say on that part. So thank you.
Yes. Sorry, this is last question. Lots of questions we can be offline. I think this panel, the most important establishment is try to build up the connection. So in the people in the future, then we can have a much more fulfilled resources we can share together. So let's have a big palm for those panelists really contribute themselves. And remember, after the meeting, just get their name card and ensure you have the future connection, closely together. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you very much, the chair and panelists, for this very interesting, exciting, and even very vibrant discussion, and which gave us a lot of inspiration. Thank you so much. And before we enter to the next and also the last session of today, the demo show, we would like to have 10-minute short break, okay? 10 minutes. And please be back in 10 minutes. And also please be reminded to turn in the interpretation device during the break, because the interpretation device and the booth will disembark the forum during the break. Thank you.